Hi, Mihai, and thank you for accepting my invitation.
Hadi, happy to be here.
Please tell me a few words about yourself, about your company, to kind of introduce our audience to what you're doing and where do you come from. So please go ahead.
Okay. So about myself, well, since I know myself, or let's say about since I started high school, I was a geek, an IT geek, and did a lot of contests in mathematics, informatics, and actually this was my call, the IT field. I don't want to say I was a lazy person, but I always wanted to automatize everything that I did, or things which are not that nice to be done, or repetitive things. And I was always trying to do some automation, some software, some small robot that's doing that thing for me. So this was me. So since I know myself, I was passionate about the IT. Then I was following high school in IT, following the university in IT, and starting my career before finishing the university in a company. And lately, I was analyzing my career, and I realized that I was always doing software for automatizing processes, like selling processes, like cost and money forecasting, approvals, and all those things. So I was always in the IT field with automatizing processes, things which are not really nice to be done all day, repetitive things, and
Especially
like
not
this.
by humans.
Exactly.
Tell me about the company. I know you founded a company a few years back.
Yes. It was the story of the company starts somewhere in 2014 when I was attending a conference, a short-term conference, and I met my current partners there. It was like 1 hour discussions about what they do, what I'm doing, and then beginning of 2015, we started the first project. I started to collaborate with them as a freelancer. It was a really important project for a really big client, and they took this risk to give the project to me. That was for Infineon, some tool for automatizing some regulations management and all those things, which was used by the top level staff, by CEO, CTO, and all those guys there on the top. And that tool was developed very well. So the project went very well, and decided to go forward and do some more projects together. They wanted to start a company here in Cluj. At that moment, I was a little bit afraid of doing that thing. It was some really new thing for me. So we've continued collaborating as freelancer. But in 2018, I said, okay, it's enough. I don't want to do too much night work and all those things, and decided to start this company here in Cluj called Alight. It is built in partnership with Alight from Germany, so they have shares, I have shares, and since then we are working together. We are doing different projects for pretty big clients, I would say.
How did you felt this past year in terms of impact? Has the pandemic affected your company's growth, or did it help fuel its growth?
Yes, it was an impact. We felt the impact because it was pretty new company. So we started the company mid of the year in 2018, and 1 year and a half after the pandemic stopped. It affected the growth in the way that we didn't grow, but we were on the same level. So looking at 2020 and 2019, we were at the same level. So we managed not to cut salaries or to fire developers or personnel. And I think this was a pretty good success for 2020.
How many people?
Sorry. So the drawback of this pandemic came at the end of 2020 when our clients realized that we are not that, so we still need to do some software. And at the end of the year, they just gave us everything that they wanted to do during the year, so we were overwhelmed with
And expected to deliver
projects.
by Christmas, right?
Exactly, because they needed to spend their budgets by the end of the financial year.
That's an important factor. But I think a lot of companies in 2020 thought that the world might come to an end, and after a few months there was still hope. We had news of a vaccine, and now 2021 it looks like things might be getting back to normal.
Yeah.
Aside from the other big names that I know you worked for, I know you have a big customer in aviation. We won't give names, but can you tell me if the fact that the aviation industry was under pressure last year, did it impact you as a company directly?
Well, besides the fact that they were impacted, actually this client managed to keep us alive. So they realized that digitalization is really important for companies to survive during the pandemic, but also after the pandemic. So, and they did stop some projects and they did cut some budgets, but they didn't stop 100% digitalization. So they continued to invest in critical areas of their business. And mostly it was because we are doing lots of small projects in their extranet. So they are putting lots of focus on the collaboration with their clients, with their partners. So they are digitalizing their extranet more and more, and they are improving their extranet more and more. And it was for us was the client that keep us alive during the pandemic, and now they are still providing us pretty much work.
They kept the light on, right?
Yeah.
How many people were in Alight before the pandemic, and how many people are now in your team?
So before the pandemic, we were 10 people, from which 7 developers and QA. So three people were doing sales, marketing, and human resources, and so on. And at this moment, we are 13 and still looking for some more developers.
So you did have a small growth during this past year.
Yes.
Has anything changed about the way customer found you before 2020 and now? Has the past year been any different in terms of how you do business with potential new customers, or is it the same?
No, 2020 for us was, I can say it was a reset, because I realized that it's really important to invest more and more in sales and marketing. And even though it was a difficult year and we didn't have as many incomes as we expected to have, we did invest lots of money in marketing and sales. We hired some new marketing colleagues, we hired some sales colleagues, and so on. And we put lots of access on finding clients on LinkedIn, as you already know. And now, after 6 or 7 months, we see that this was a really good decision to do it. And I've seen lots of companies which cut the budget for marketing and sales, and it was not that good for them. And yes, it changed because before the pandemic and during the pandemic, we received some clients from our partners in Germany, and very few recommendations from myself, which I worked before Alight. So, for example, this company in aviation, it was something I worked with them as a freelancer before, so now they're clients in Alight. But now we see more and more clients that are coming to us from LinkedIn, from the marketing ads that we are doing, from connections from LinkedIn, and there's a network that's growing, and this is really good.
I'm glad you have a positive experience about investing in sales and marketing. I know it's a challenge for a lot of Romanian companies, especially because it's a difficult thing to provide results in short amounts of time. So I'm really glad you feel this way.
Yes, it was a difficult decision to take because every money we had in 2020, it was needed to pay the salaries, to pay the rent and everything. But I took that decision, and for me, it was a win.
I wanted to ask you, when customers find you or come to you for solutions, what kind of challenges are they facing? What kind of problems are they trying to solve before searching for you, your company, and your services?
As far as I've seen, the most challenging, they are facing issues with their employees, trying to keep the employees as motivated as possible, and trying to avoid this not so nice work that they need to do. So they're trying to automatize things, to automatize work, to improve
Work not made for
collaboration.
humans.
Yeah, to improve collaboration, to give tools to the employees so that they can do more and they can feel actually the results. Because it's a different to do something in like 1 day or 1 month. If you feel the result after 1 day, it's like you're much more motivated to do more and more and more.
Obviously.
And even now, for example, I had a discussion with a potential client. They have problems translating documents received from their clients into their templates. And they say, imagine that we have millions of rows in our Excels, and we need to translate that thing in something that is readable for us. And we are just doing it manually. And I said, it's impossible. And how can you keep your employees in this way in your company? And I said, well, it's
so basically
we can't.
Automizing the human, let's say the work which used to be done by humans, but that humans do not like to do, basically.
Yeah. But also collaboration. So collaboration between employees and so on. And in this online area, it's really difficult to keep the teams together. And having good collaboration tools, having good working tools that you can feel that you're working as a team, then it's a plus for companies.
Are these customers using a specific platform, or are they just general companies that want to automate, or is there something specific about them that makes them get in touch with you?
Yes, mostly we are trying to make them understand that collaboration is really important for them. But we are experts in Office 365, so we are targeting the companies which are using Office 365 or SharePoint on-premise, but well, SharePoint on-premise is mostly moving to Office 365. So we do believe that this platform has everything integrated for a good collaboration and doing these tools that you can automate things. So I would say like 90% of the companies searching for us are using this Office 365 platform.
Do you think this might be in the future outsourced to software robots, like the ones which are being sold by the recent star in this area, UiPath, or still humans are going to be needed for implementing collaboration and streamlining the processes?
Well, I think that everything can be done using robots, but even at this moment, there are lots of companies which are building tools which are automatically configure Office 365 environment. So like Nintex or Powell or whatever. So if for example, if you need an intranet, you just take the solution from companies like Powell, for example, you deploy it and that's it. You have an intranet, just a few clicks and that's it. So there are tools which you can use to deploy everything even without too much human interaction. So you don't need a developer, for example, to build it. You have the tool, you deploy it, and that's it.
Are you looking, or are we looking at a world which will be low code, as some predict in the future? So there will be no need, or a lesser need for writing code.
I would say yes, and will be not the far future, because even now, with the client you said in the aviation, we are challenged to do the implementation without custom code. So to use as much of out-of-the-box functionalities from Office 365, for example. It's not easy at this moment, but it's not impossible. So
what's your hobby that you're going to do after a few years when there will be no need for writing code anymore? Will you grow tomatoes, or what do you intend to do?
I don't think writing code will end like in the next 10 years or so. But at least the way we know that writing code it is at this moment will change a lot. So scripting and things like this will still be, but this will change a lot. So and if you're looking at the last year, so it changed a lot. I remember like 5 years ago, the backend was so writing backend code like .NET, C# or Java was so big, and now everyone is looking for JavaScript and React and Node.js and things like this, which is much more scripting.
What would you look for? Let's assume that some of your customers would ask you to act as their consultant for choosing an external software partner to provide some custom software development. What would you look for in your role as a consultant, given the fact that you already have experience about what it takes to be successful? So what would be the things you think are important to basically narrow down the search from all the thousands or tens of thousands of potential software partners?
Yeah, it's a very vague question, I would say, because it all depends on the client needs and the client problems. And the way we are working at this moment is we offer consultancy. So we are not starting a project without doing at least small part of consultancy. Even if the client comes to us and say, I need exactly that tool, so build me exactly that tool, we try to understand what's the problem in behind, and maybe we can find a better solution for you, or we can enhance the tool that you really need. So I would say it all depends on the client needs. So if he needs an internal tool for collaboration, for example, we have lots of partners. We know exactly in which direction to look. If they want, so for example, a tool for extranet to collaborate with the partners or with the businesses or with the clients, there's another direction. So it all depends on the client needs. So we try to ask as many questions as possible to understand exactly what's behind their need, and after that take the decision where to look.
Let me rephrase the question to make it a bit more personal. From what you know from your existing customers, what made them choose you in solving their challenges that they were searching for at the time when you started collaborating with them?
I think the first thing that they made us they choose us was the trust that was already built between us.
Yeah.
And the second one was the expertise that we have. For example, we have some clients that required they needed some reports. So we are experts in Office 365 that includes Power BI, for example, and they needed reports. They came to us because they know that we are experts on this part. So I think the type of the clients we are working with are mostly enterprises, and they have an IT department which is closer to the IT field. So they know to look on the expertise of the companies that they are working with. So if they want reports, they are looking for companies which know, I don't know, Power BI or ClickSense or things like this. If they
So
want an intranet, yeah,
trust, expertise. Do you think it's still
exactly.
a question for is still an issue, the time zone, for instance, when choosing a software partner? For instance, do they look for nearshore companies, or is working remote still an issue, like a problem, or it kind of became mainstream considering
No,
what happened
oh,
last
no, no,
year?
no. I have never felt this one. Even when was an employee, so 10 years ago, I have never felt this, that the time zone could be a problem. And even now, I have some calls which I'm doing with the guys in US. So yeah, it's pretty late for us, but they are open to discuss and work with us. I
So
think choosing a near shore or a local shore depends. It also depends on the offer that you're doing. So I know that there are some clients that will choose some near shore if the price is a little bit lower, but the near shore company is guaranteed by a local company. So for example, how we are working, our partners in Germany are making offers because they have us nearshore and they could lower a little bit the price. But the quality is guaranteed by them being the Alight Germany and being their local.
I know there is a lot of debate in the IT space about how to price, or let's say how to quote the services that the industry is providing. Do you think price, like amount of dollars or euros per hour, is it a good way to evaluate a software developer, software engineer's performance, or is it just something that kind of comes from a historical decision? Or how do you feel about that when thinking about long-term partnerships?
I know that some clients or some companies are looking at the prices to see if it could be a trusted partner or not, a trusted provider or not. But this is, I think, if you have a higher price, you are better seen than having a lower price.
Interesting. So why doesn't
Because
everyone charge more?
that's the drawback, is because some the companies, so our clients mostly, they have budgets, right? So if they want to build a project, they have a budget, and if you go over their budget, probably they
You're
will
automatically
reject your
excluded.
offer. Yeah, yeah, and it's working with enterprises. It's really difficult for them to extend the budget they have. Yes, they can extend it like 10 or 20%, but that's mostly the limit they can extend it. So I think it's really important. You can keep your price as much as high as it can be, but it's really
But not.
important to understand the client, to ask the proper questions. So and I've seen that many entrepreneurs are afraid of asking the question, how much is the budget you have for this project? And
Why do you
this
think
is,
that happens? Why
I don't
why
know.
why is that
I
an
think
issue?
they're ashamed of asking this question. I don't know. I think they're afraid of not getting an answer or something. But it's fine. You don't get an answer. It's fine. You didn't have it
Is
before. So
this something that you've let's say discovered moving from the, let's say, technical department, technical period of your life when you're writing code, into the more, let's say, business period when you are running a company? Is this something that were you doing before running a business, or just after you started talking more with customers?
yes, I've seen it when I started the business, a little bit when I started the business, because um, I like to say, okay, I want to do this. This is my budget. So I want to set up expectation from the beginning. And then after I started to discuss with the clients, I said, okay, but if I'm setting up this expectation myself, why shouldn't I ask the client about their budget? And yeah, there are some clients which will say, well, we have a budget, we cannot tell it at this moment. But I would say more than 50% will give you at least an interval of their budget. And then you know how to make the offer.
How do you feel? I mean, you've definitely had experience both as working as an employee, but also as running your own company. How do you feel about your current status? Do you feel it was a good move to start a company, or it more like it gives you a lot of headaches compared to the period when you're happily employed? You took 21 years off, 20 days a year, 20 days off per year,
Yeah.
and basically just enjoyed the quiet and peaceful lifestyle of an employee.
Yeah, it's a question I'm asking myself every day. At least I think every entrepreneur is doing this, is asking this question every day, at least in the first years of the company. Um, yes, it's the best decision I could ever make, and it's not because it's easier. Of course, it's much more difficult to be an entrepreneur and have your own company rather than being an employee. But all this struggle pays back. And I'm sure. So I have it. Alight is having 3 years in a month, in 1st of July. So June, sorry, in 1st of June, and it was difficult. And yeah, the pandemic was here as well, and it's still difficult. But I know for sure that in 1 or 2 years, this struggle will pay back, and will be much better, even financially, even with the free time and everything. And for me, was also a really good decision because when company came to life, my little baby came to life. So my daughter has 3 years as the company, and if I was an employee, I could not have that much time to spend with my family overall.
I'm glad you feel that way. So just one final question. I mean, I know you have about almost 20 or 20 years of experience into this industry, and the last three, as you mentioned, were like in the entrepreneurial world. If you would have the opportunity to get back in time, let's say 10 years, what would you tell your younger self about this idea of starting a company?
Yeah, I like this question. It's I was discussing with my wife, I think it was a few days ago, and I said, remember when 10 years ago we had this 2 rooms apartment, and we sold the apartment and took some credit from the bank and bought a house? I wouldn't do that anymore. I would have sold the apartment, moved to rent, and invest all the money into building a company.
And from the personal perspective of your professional growth, is there something you've discovered during these 10 years that would have helped your younger self?
I don't know. My professional growth was pretty linear. Was growing, but was not exponential, but neither going down. So I was growing all the time. So I was a developer, then I was a team lead, then I was an architect, then I was a delivery manager, and then an entrepreneur. So I was growing. I think what I would do different, I would try to speed up a little bit these things, because this would have taken me to the entrepreneurial position much more faster. So my advice would be, if you can invest in being an entrepreneur, do it. It's difficult, but for sure will pay back.
Well, I would hope to get you in another episode and talk about what that investment means, because that's another conversation in itself. But I'm glad we had this opportunity to talk. So first of all, happy birthday to Alight, first 3 years. And hopefully we're going to meet again at the end of the next 3 at least. And you will tell me how the next 3 years have went. And I really hope it's a positive journey for Alight and for you and your family personally.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mihai. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Adi. Have a nice day as well.